What if I told you that people who hate Christmas actually have a psychological superpower that most people will never develop? This is going to sound crazy, but stick with me. While everyone else is getting caught up in holiday madness, there's a small group of people who remain completely immune to one of the most powerful social programming experiments in human history. And what researchers recently discovered about their brains will blow your mind. See, Christmas isn't just a holiday. It's actually a massive psychological test that happens every single year, and most people fail it without even realizing they're being tested. But the people who don't like Christmas? They're passing a test that reveals something extraordinary about how their minds work. I'm about to show you 3 psychological traits that Christmas-resistant people possess that actually make them mentally stronger than the average person. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand why society desperately wants you to believe that not liking Christmas is a character flaw, when it's actually the complete opposite. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how people get genuinely angry when you tell them you don't enjoy Christmas? Not disappointed, not confused, but actually angry? That reaction alone should tell you everything you need to know about what's really happening here. Christmas operates as what psychologists call a social compliance test. It's designed to measure how willing you are to participate in collective emotional experiences, even when those experiences feel artificial or forced. Most people pass this test by going along with it, but some people's brains are literally wired differently. The people who don't like Christmas often score higher on something called authenticity orientation. This means their nervous systems are actually more sensitive to detecting when social situations feel fake or performative. While other people can easily slip into holiday mode and genuinely feel festive, these individuals experience what researchers call emotional discord, when there's a gap between what they're supposed to feel and what they actually feel. Here's where it gets really interesting. This same psychological trait that makes people resistant to Christmas magic also makes them resistant to manipulation, peer pressure, and social conformity in general. They're essentially psychological immune systems walking around in human form. If you're starting to recognize yourself in this description, hit that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to reveal in the next part will completely change how you see yourself and your relationship with social expectations. Trust me, this gets much deeper than just holiday preferences. Now here's what nobody talks about. The reason society pushes so hard for universal Christmas participation isn't actually about spreading joy or bringing families together. It's about something much more primal and, honestly, a little disturbing. Christmas serves as what anthropologists call a tribal loyalty test. When someone openly admits they don't enjoy Christmas, they're essentially declaring their independence from one of the most powerful social bonding rituals in Western culture. And that makes people deeply uncomfortable on a subconscious level. Think about it. When was the last time someone responded to, "I don't really like Christmas," with genuine curiosity instead of immediate pushback? Most people react like you've personally attacked their family. That's because you've triggered what psychologists call their social defense system. But here's the fascinating part. The people who don't like Christmas aren't actually missing out on anything. They're just getting their emotional needs met in different ways that don't require seasonal scheduling or external validation. Research shows that Christmas-resistant individuals typically have what's called intrinsic motivation patterns. This means they generate happiness and meaning from internal sources rather than external events. While most people need the Christmas framework to feel festive and connected, these individuals create those same feelings year-round through authentic relationships and personal values. There's actually a name for this in psychology. It's called emotional self-regulation, and it's considered one of the strongest predictors of mental health and life satisfaction. People who can generate positive emotions independently, without needing specific circumstances or social cues, tend to be more resilient, less anxious, and ironically, happier overall. But society doesn't want you to know this because it threatens the entire consumer-driven holiday machine. If people realized they could feel just as fulfilled without participating in Christmas, the economic and social systems built around forced seasonal celebration would start to crumble. This is why Christmas-resistant people often report feeling like outsiders or broken, when in reality they've developed something that most people spend their entire lives trying to achieve through therapy, meditation, or self-help books. They've learned how to be emotionally independent. What's your relationship with emotional independence? Do you find yourself happier when you follow your own internal compass rather than external expectations? Let me know in the comments, because this next part is going to reveal something that will completely shift how you think about social conformity. Here's where this gets really wild. What if I told you that people who don't like Christmas are actually exhibiting signs of what researchers call advanced pattern recognition? And that this same ability is what separates high-level critical thinkers from people who get swept up in mass social movements? Let me explain what I mean. Christmas, when you really break it down, is essentially a manufactured emotional experience. It takes genuine human needs like connection, generosity, and celebration, then packages them into a specific time frame with predetermined rules, rituals, and expectations. Most people accept this packaging without question, but some brains automatically detect the artificial nature of the construct. This isn't about being negative or cynical. This is about having a nervous system that's naturally calibrated to distinguish between authentic and manufactured experiences. And this same calibration shows up in other areas of these people's lives in remarkable ways. Studies have found that individuals who are resistant to seasonal emotional manipulation also tend to be more resistant to advertising, peer pressure, and what psychologists call social proof bias. They're less likely to buy things because everyone else is buying them, less likely to adopt opinions just because they're popular, and less likely to change their behavior based on social expectations. In other words, they've developed a kind of psychological immunity to mass influence. And in our current world, where we're constantly bombarded with attempts to manipulate our emotions and behaviors, this immunity is incredibly valuable. But here's the part that might surprise you. These same people often create their own traditions and celebrations that are far more meaningful and personally satisfying than anything Christmas could offer. Because when you're not locked into someone else's framework for how and when to feel grateful, generous, or connected, you're free to design experiences that actually match your authentic self. Think about some of the most creative and innovative people throughout history. Many of them were known for rejecting popular traditions and social conventions. They understood that following the crowd rarely leads to breakthrough thinking or authentic fulfillment. The same psychological traits that make someone resist Christmas magic often correlate with higher creativity, independent thinking, and what researchers call cognitive flexibility. There's actually a term in psychology called nonconformist advantage. It refers to the fact that people who resist social pressure in one area of their life often develop stronger decision-making skills and more authentic self-awareness across all areas of their life. They learn to trust their internal compass instead of constantly checking external signals for how they should feel or behave. This explains why Christmas-resistant people often report feeling more satisfied with their relationships, their career choices, and their personal values. They've practiced saying no to social expectations, which means when they do say yes to something, it's because it genuinely aligns with who they are. The irony is that by not participating in a holiday designed to bring people together, these individuals often end up creating deeper, more authentic connections with others. Because when you remove the obligation and artificial timing, what's left is pure intention. Have you ever noticed that your most meaningful moments of connection and generosity happen spontaneously, outside of any holiday framework? Share your experience in the comments, because what I'm about to reveal in the final part will show you exactly how to use this psychological insight to build a life that's completely aligned with your authentic self. So here's what nobody will tell you about living authentically in a world designed around social conformity. The people who don't like Christmas have accidentally discovered the secret to what psychologists call sovereign happiness. And once you understand how this works, you can apply it to every area of your life. Sovereign happiness means your emotional well-being doesn't depend on external circumstances, other people's approval, or seasonal timing. It means you've learned to generate fulfillment from your own values, choices, and internal sense of meaning. And this is exactly what Christmas-resistant people have been practicing every December without even realizing it. When everyone else is riding the emotional roller coaster of holiday expectations, stress, family drama, and post-Christmas letdown, these individuals maintain steady emotional equilibrium. They've essentially opted out of the boom and bust cycle of manufactured celebration. And the result is a more consistent, sustainable form of contentment. But here's the practical application that changes everything. This same approach can be used to resist any form of social programming. Whether it's pressure to follow certain career paths, relationship timelines, lifestyle choices, or consumer behaviors, the psychological skills developed through Christmas resistance translate into every area of life. The key is learning to distinguish between authentic desire and socially programmed desire. When you feel pressure to want something, ask yourself, is this coming from my genuine values and preferences, or am I feeling like I should want this because of external expectations? Christmas-resistant people have been practicing this question every December, which is why they often seem more confident in their choices and less affected by social pressure in general. They've developed what researchers call psychological sovereignty. This doesn't mean being antisocial or rejecting all traditions. It means becoming the conscious architect of your own emotional experiences instead of letting society dictate when and how you should feel certain things. Some people choose to create their own December traditions that actually align with their values. Others simply use the time for personal reflection or pursuing interests they're genuinely passionate about. The most successful people in any field often share this trait. They've learned to trust their internal compass over external validation. They make decisions based on authentic alignment rather than social acceptance. And ironically, this often leads to deeper, more meaningful relationships and greater professional success, because authenticity is magnetic in a world full of performance. So if you've ever felt guilty about not enjoying Christmas, or if you've tried to force yourself to feel festive when it doesn't come naturally, I want you to consider this. What if your resistance isn't a character flaw? What if it's actually your psychological immune system protecting you from losing touch with your authentic self? The next time someone calls you a Grinch, remember that you're demonstrating a level of emotional independence that most people spend years in therapy trying to develop. You're showing that it's possible to be happy and fulfilled without needing external permission or seasonal scheduling. Your relationship with Christmas is just the tip of the iceberg. The real question is, what other areas of your life could benefit from this same authentic approach? Where else are you conforming when you could be creating something that actually fits who you are? If this perspective has shifted something in how you see yourself, make sure you subscribe to this channel. We dive deep into the psychology behind social expectations and how to build a life that's genuinely aligned with your authentic self. Because understanding why you're different isn't just interesting, it's the first step toward living in a way that actually makes sense for who you are. And let me know in the comments, what's one social expectation you've always questioned but never felt permission to reject? Your answer might be the key to unlocking a whole new level of authentic living.